Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Two Cool
Cool
Caregivers. Wait,
caregivers.
I did it. Hold on. Hey guys, well,
Cool,
cool
caregivers.
caregivers.
Wow.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of
Two
Two
cool
Cool
caregivers.
Caregivers. I am Erica,
And I am Jacquelyn Revere.
and we are Two Cool
Two cool
Caregivers.
caregivers. Yeah.
And today, we really want to talk about what changes in care we would both make if we were president. And for the sake of this discussion, let's just pretend that the presidency is like a magic wand and there's no such thing as red tape, and everybody in the House and Senate is like super obsessed with us. So we just get to make
Everyone agrees.
Yeah, everyone. Okay. President makes all the decisions. Bam. Okay.
Unanimous. We can start by saying that there are 53 million family caregivers in the US right now. All don't know what to do, and our society does not support us.
No, our society does not know how to support us. I mean, you hear this word a lot: care crisis, Alzheimer's crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Those words are real. We are definitely in a care crisis, and we are approaching an Alzheimer's crisis. There's a demand for care, and the demand's going up, and the supply for it's going down. And that's a really serious problem for those tens of millions of families that are dealing with this.
CareWell did a survey. They do not sponsor this podcast, so that's all I'm gonna say. They did a survey of the caregivers that frequent their site, and apparently 50% provide over 40 hours of care to someone per week. That's literally like a full-time job.
Bro, that's so many hours. How much does that pay, by the way?
Oh, 91% receive no additional financial assistance.
Oh, what?
91%.
Tell me more,
Nobody's getting
Jacquelyn.
money.
Does this job get worse?
Oh, and then the amount of time that you spend on care will increase over the time that you care. And so it will go from 40 hours to 50 to 60 to 100. And only 9% of those people get any kind of financial like pay. Isn't that crazy?
Well, where do I apply? Dude,
I've been waiting for this opportunity my whole life.
And what was that number you said at the top? How many million? 50 million?
53 million family caregivers in the United States right now.
That's such a big number. And to me, it's crazy because when you see that number and when you see those stats, you know that this is something that a lot of us, most of us, will have to take on at some point in our lives in some aspect. A lot of us are going to become caregivers at some point.
Yeah.
And to me, it's wild that no one is ever prepared because we're never given preparation for it. People know about cancer when they're younger, but they never know about dementia.
Well, there's so much more stigma, I think, around having dementia because it is like a mental incapacitation. I think there's more stigma with dementia. And like there are so many organizations where you start wearing the pink pins, or like you have women willing to, walk outside with shaved heads and
totally. We see these images throughout our whole lives. I remember when I was in school, not only learning about cancer, but also there would be fundraising programs where we would do things to raise money for cancer organizations, which is great. But it's crazy to me that I was able to go my whole life gaining knowledge of one disease and never having heard the other one being mentioned in school. No one ever taught me about dementia. No one ever taught me about Alzheimer's. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what caused it. I didn't know anything about it. We have science and health classes for a reason, and when I was in school, I learned a lot of important things in those science and health classes that went beyond like biology and chemistry. I learned about my body. I learned sex education. I learned about diseases and prevention. No one ever mentioned dementia. I think that that's something that we need to be mentioning in school systems in some regard. whether that's in a health class where they're getting an education on what causes cognitive decline, or if it's in a PE, a physical education class, because people need to know why they're being healthy. We're doing it for disease prevention. We're doing it to improve our hearts. We're doing it to improve our bodies. We're also doing it to improve our minds. And that's something that does not get mentioned to kids. We don't know that we're running the mile because it also helps you have a more active mind. And that is important to prevent cognitive decline, you know?
And I also think on top of that, like we see people who have cancer, you know, step on a stage and talk. People with dementia rarely have the opportunity to share their story. And so like we hear about the people who take care of them, and then we hear these, you know, stories that make it seem like, wow, that's not fun at all. We don't talk enough about the, I don't know, like,
no, that's,
I don't want to say
no, totally.
joys of it, like, because this shit is hard, you know?
It is hard. And I love that you brought up us not being given the opportunity to physically see it in front of us enough, like we do with other things. Because I go back to what I was taught in school. You know, I went to like an incredible elementary school, private school, very fluffy. They love to teach us tolerance and all that good stuff. And I got a really awesome education there. All the time, they would bring people to us at school to teach us things. They would bring a Holocaust survivor. They would bring cancer survivors. They would bring people who went through it. And they would tell us what they went through. And we would learn a lot from these people. And I think if dementia was brought into that conversation at an early age, people would be more prepared by the time they reach adulthood. So when they had to become caregivers and drop their entire lives, they at least have some basic understanding of what they're going to get into.
The white pages also say that even though 91% of caregivers don't receive any financial assistance, they spend about 26% of their income on a loved one that they care for. And so that's about a quarter of what you make.
That's wild. As
I know. Sigh.
Just fart noise sigh is all I have to say to that stat. Let's talk about the government. I don't like them.
Well, I mean, now that we know that 91% of people have no outside source of income, meaning like most people don't even qualify. The government's not helping too much.
No. Okay. So let's talk about the ways the government is allegedly supposed to be helping us. So if you're a caregiver, you probably know about Medicaid by now. You're probably familiar with the concept. If you're in California, it's called Medi-Cal. Basically, it allows us caregivers to be able to provide for the people we're taking care of with tons of benefits. There's medical benefits. There's certain products that you can get. There's medication you can get. There's physical care at your home you can get, daycare services, hospice, the whole 9 yards. To qualify for that, you have to meet a certain level of income. So my family does not qualify for that. And the reason for that is because of my mom's disability payments. So my mom gets SSDI payments, which are Social Security disability income. The government pays her like $2,400 a month, which goes over the maximum to qualify her for Medicaid. So the government has essentially decided that a couple $1,000s should be enough money to support a fully dependent disabled person and the daughter who had to leave the workforce to stay home and take care of her in Los Angeles. They saw that number and they thought, this should be good.
Which is crazy because I'm pretty sure that here $2,400 per month means that you're in poverty.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy the way the government has decided who can get what benefits. It differs by state. So depending on where you live, and you could be in my situation and your mom could be fully taken care of if you live in the right state. If you're like me and you live in California, you are shit out of luck.
And not to mention the cost of care is so high. And so, like, if you can't afford to have someone come help you, then you are the one who is doing all of that work, which are why caregivers are logging about 40 hours.
It confuses me how there is only seemingly one solution for caregivers looking to get paid for the work they're doing, which is to qualify for IHSS, which is a program that makes it so you can keep caring for your person, but the government will pay you a certain amount to continue doing that, which is a wonderful program. The problem with it is every state can decide who qualifies for it. And California decides that if you do not qualify to be on Medi-Cal, then you do not get to be in the IHSS program. So no matter what, I cannot get paid to take care of my mom.
That's crazy because my mom's Social Security was about $1,800 and we had IHSS. And when I tell you how helpful it was, the time that it took to qualify for the full amount of like hours took some time, but I got to a point where they were paying me for about 60 hours per week.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Not only for your wallet, but also for your validation.
Absolutely. And my like mental health, not having to worry about how I was going to pay everything because I was being paid to care for her.
Dude, that's incredible. And that program is so important to so many families. Why can't we expand it? Why can't we expand it?
I mean, like, that's why we legalized weed here, right? So that we can tax it, so that we can take that money and then put it towards more like that. We should have
100%. 100%.
Um,
Legalize caregiving.
Legalize caregiving. Look, that's our
It
next.
doesn't look as good on a shirt, but you know what? Legalize caregiving, y'all.
They're like, that's a lot of letters. Legalize care.
And what does it even mean?
I know, right? Pay us.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Like, in my eyes, there is no reason that caregivers shouldn't have government funded everything to take care of their person and to make their lives easier. If you look at what we have to give, energy, time, lives, our careers versus what we get, doesn't seem fair to me.
It doesn't. No. It's absolutely not. And I think part of it is like we as a society don't put care as a top priority. I think that like if we all as a society said, this is what is important to us, we can move the needle forward. But like you can go out in public and people shy away. I don't even know if those of us who are caring for others in public feel seen. Doors aren't held open for people in wheelchairs. And
if I had a nickel for every time some dude closed the door on my mom's wheelchair, I'd be able to afford the Medicare benefits.
Right. And so like we as a society don't even see it as something that's important, even though care is something we will all be a part of. We will either care for someone or we will support someone who is caring for someone, you know, like it is an experience that we will have.
Totally. And going off of what you said about being seen, the government needs to have a hand in that. They need to make sure that not only are we educated, are we seen, we are represented equally. Because right now, the race to find a cure to dementia is being spearheaded by, how do I say this? The reality is that this disease affects people disproportionately. People of color are more likely to be diagnosed with this disease than white people.
Yes, Black and brown people are 2 to 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with dementia, but they are also more likely to be diagnosed in later stages when there's less prevention and like less ways to help them maintain their functioning also. And so, you know, all around, it's just pretty piss poor. And you had mentioned, even though the statistics look like this, the trials are filled with like white men.
Yeah, it's crazy. You hear a number like that, and then you look at the clinical trials for Alzheimer's drugs that are working to find a cure for these people, and all the people in their trials are mostly old white dudes. That might not be the most helpful solution.
Women have a higher percentage of it. Like white women even have a higher percentage of getting it than white men. And so the fact that white men are like more prevalent in these trials is really telling white women, I need y'all to take your rightful space.
Totally. And the government needs to do more to make this available to every person who is struggling with this, you know?
There are reasons why there are fewer people of color in these clinical trials as well. There's, a huge mistrust of the American medical system for people of color. There has been so much unethical testing, whether it's the Tuskegee experiment or forced sterilization. And I'm sure that there are many, many, many more. But people of color have been taught to not trust the medical system in the US, and there are many reasons. Up until very recently, I read somewhere that medical books outlined that Black people don't feel as much pain. So the pain that
I know what you're talking about. I was reading, and
inflicted
it
on
is insane to know that they were teaching this to people who would become doctors.
Yeah.
And then have to see Black patients. And then, surprise, they're denying Black women's pain. What do you know?
Which is why the mortality rate for pregnant Black women is so high, is because when they come saying something is not right, they aren't believed. And then the reason for Black women dying in childbirth is that they hemorrhage and then bleed out. And it's something that could be stopped. It's
just I don't even know the word for it. It's insane to me that the American government has such a long-standing and day-to-day practicing history of not caring about people of color and their pain. And you know what? I think they owe it to everyone to start making up for that and earning back people's trust. If we had equal representation in clinical trials, if we had medical textbooks that were written by people of color, if we had there are so many things that they could be doing to make our health more equal, more safe, more accessible.
Which is why we need to run for president.
I know. I think that's the main takeaway here.
So, were you president, what would you implement?
If I were president, first,
that dun 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 dun. No, that's the wrong
first
song.
I changed the song. Is that the graduation song?
That's the graduation song. No one even knows what the song is. Hold on. What is that fucking song? What is that song?
I almost sang the wedding song. You know what? I'm gonna change my entrance music anyway to something cool. I'll come out to metal music.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I think it's the government's responsibility to take care of its citizens, and I think it has failed that with,
especially when we pay so much in taxes.
Especially when I've given you guys, I've loaned you guys a lot of money. Listen, I've given you guys a lot of money, and I respect what you're doing with it. I'm just asking you to do a little more and to care a little more about your citizens, to educate them from an early age, to make dementia part of the lexicon, not to hide it, to embrace organizations trying to make changes.
OMG, giving money to nonprofits who are doing the work to make change, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
I would love if little small communities could be built of families who care for someone. That way, there is a community of caregivers who live near each other, and
100%
all lean on each other, talk to each other, and have that sort of support. I think that would be so helpful.
Not only is that fucking beautiful and lovely, but that needs to happen for the sake of our society, because right now, end of life care is abysmal. Let's talk about the hospice industry for a second. I was actually reading a super interesting New York Times article the other day, just about how the hospice industry, how it started this wonderful charitable solution to help people transition when they were towards the end of their lives. Fast forward to now.
And it's all about money.
Yeah, no, fast forward to now. And like that entire industry is about exploitation and money and signing up patients who don't need the services and kicking off patients who do need the services. And that entire industry is a greedy for-profit private industry. And the government needs to have a better hand in making sure our citizens die with some dignity.
It really sucks that the hospice industry has turned into that, because the funeral industry has become that too. And it sucks that like you're caring for someone at the end of life and you have to fight every way with hospice. But then once the person's not here anymore, you have to fight with the funeral homes trying to just get as much money out of you as they can when you're like mourning. When
and there's so much fighting. There's so much fighting. The entire process. You're fighting for things that you shouldn't have to fight for, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been really disheartening when something that we will all have to experience at some point within our lives, whether it's burying a family member or caring for them, it's all been commodified.
Totally. I'm just going to read this excerpt from the New York Times article on hospice. It's just wild to me. In the decades since its start, hospice has evolved from a constellation of charities, mostly relying on volunteers, into a $22 billion juggernaut funded almost entirely by taxpayers. For-profit providers made up 30% of the field at the start of the century. So today, they represent more than 70%. And between 2011 and 19, the number of hospices owned by private equity firms tripled.
Oh, so it's become all about money. I feel like certain fields like this should be government like led and ran.
Because if they're not, then you have to rely on people to do the right thing. When in reality, if these people are making more money based on the number of people they sign up for hospice, they're not going to not sign people up for hospice. You have to take away the money incentive to make sure people do the right thing.
And if like people are living too long while they're on hospice, they just take you off. And it's like, you can't predict how long it'll take someone to die.
No.
And if it's come to the point where it's like, this is costing us a lot of money to maintain having these people come and care for this person who just won't
go.
They won't kick the bucket.
They just
like
won't
they
check
didn't
out.
Take it all away, which is so jarring for the person who is like mourning while caring for someone that they love. Like it's just all a mental mind fuck.
And if there's one time that you expect the man to look out for you, it should be the end of your life. It should be when you really need help. And that's not what's happening. And the government just needs to step up and just take a look at this industry that's just bankrupting families.
Completely. Okay. If I were president, I would have a universal income for every unpaid family caregiver. Like, not only will that let them know that the work that they're doing is important, but like it's honored by the like head staff of this country. Because something that we also do not talk about enough is that caregivers are the backbone to the maintenance of the society that we have right now. Like, hospital beds would be overrun if there weren't someone at home caring for these
100%.
people. Homeless shelters would be even more packed than what they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nursing homes would be even more like we maintain a shitty status quo, but things could be so much worse.
Totally. And don't we deserve a little more for all that?
Absolutely.
I say government funded everything. Well, we have my votes. I'm going to vote twice. Don't tell anyone.
I mean, look, I'm voting for me and my mom. She's not here anymore, but don't tell anyone. But there's so much more stuff I want also. Like, I want more educational programming on TV.
Yes.
I want mandatory courses in school on care.
Totally. Children should not have to look for these answers. We should be giving these tools to people early on. Because if we don't, we're failing them. And that's just the honest truth.
I want more like billboards that talk about care and caregive.
That's a good idea.
I want this to become a cultural conversation. I want the community aspect of this to grow and become second nature.
Honestly, that's all so just perfect. I have really nothing to add to it other than I have decided that I'm going to vote for you 10 times.
Thank you. Thank you. Make sure to register in every state.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to use like dead person's names. Don't
worry.
Got to
spread the votes across.
No,
that's how
I'll voter fraud real sneaky. Don't worry. You got my votes.
By the way, voter fraud is not actually an issue.
Oh, by the way, voter fraud's not real. I was making a joke. Let's be very clear.
1%. There's so many, I think, small things that we can do to implement change.
And all those small things would make such a world of a difference, wouldn't they? Well, vote for us.
What would be the slogan? The 2 cool caregivers that care.
I mean, it's got to be something about us being cool. Shit. Vote for Jacquelyn and Erica. Cool? With a question mark?
Cool.
Cool? You down?
Vote for Jacquelyn and Erica. There's only 4 types of people in the world, and we are all 4 of them.
There we go. That'll fit on a sticker.
Right? No, right. What was Obama's?
I was gonna say, can we just take Obama's and just do like change or hope or something? Because he really like got the best 2 words already. Change and hope.
Change the course of care and hope for a better future. Something.
Ooh, yeah, no one will even know that we plagiarized him. Perfect.
No one. No. Obama who?
Thanks, Obama.
You and Michelle, we owe you one. Yeah, and so I don't know, and everyone should get a dog.
Oh, everyone should get a dog. Yeah, okay. After we take care of the care system, we're gonna get everyone a puppy.
Everyone gets a
surprise.
Puppy.
And you know what? We're gonna pay for it because we're a cool government now.
Because we're going to legalize weed nationwide and tax it everywhere. And that way we'll have money to pay for all of this.
Yeah, legalize weed, legalize caregiving. I feel like that's the perfect note to end on. If you guys want to follow me, you can find me everywhere at Badass Caregiver.
Booyah. And if you would like to follow me, you can follow me everywhere at momofmymom.com. I talk about self-care and learning how to care for yourself while caring for somebody else. Somebody's got to do it. That's not my slogan.
Somebody's got to do it. Might as well be me.
A little bit of something on it. Yeah.
Until next time, guys. I'm Erica.
And I'm Jacquelyn.
And we are.
Oh, wait. We say something else like.
Wait. Oh, yeah, we do. Wait, no. Be cool. Take care.
Be cool. Take care. Yeah.
Okay.
That's our slogan. It has cool and care in it.
Okay, until next time, guys. I'm Erica.
And I'm Jacquelyn.
And remember to be cool.
And take care.
Bye.
Bye.